Hello, Mike and I, like many other professionals, are coffee fanatics. We are passionate about it, we are fueled by it. And as we're making coffee every day and talking work, while sipping our filter coffees and lattes, we naturally started to see parallels between professions as leadership consultants and making the perfect cup. So, we got inspired to make a series drawing similarities between coffee making and leadership and culture.
That's right. And whilst Jonathan and I are far from professional baristas, we know a thing or two about leadership. In particular, we noticed a lot of parallels between how we assess great leadership and how you brew a great cup of coffee. Leadership assessment is a process by which an individual can be evaluated against their experience, expertise, capability, or potential to provide guidance to them or their current or potential employer on role fit, future role readiness, or development pathways. Both assessment and brewing coffee are processes that blend art and science. Both require care, right tools, and precise methods to achieve the best results. And both allow you to extract and appreciate what the raw material has to offer.
Anyone who's taken the leap to freshly grind their own beans rather than buying store-bought grounds will know that getting the grind size right is critical. You think that if the goal is to get a lot of coffee out, then you want to grind as fine as possible, right? But grinding super fine takes a long time, will probably clog up the filter, and may lead to over-extracted coffee that can be bitter and too intense.
Similarly, a thoughtful approach is required before putting in place a very granular and lengthy assessment process. Grinding too fine with a manual grinder can be like having an over-rigorous process. If you're not careful, it can drag on without yielding meaningful results or insights, and, as you can imagine, may not lead to an ideal experience for the leader.
An overly granular assessment process that focuses on things that may not be relevant might leave a bad taste or experience for the leader being assessed.
Grinding too coarse, however, or steeping in water for too short a time will lead to under-extraction. It's probably going to be too weak, watery, and maybe even sour without any natural sweetness. Similarly, a superficial assessment may overlook key aspects of the leader that might be relevant, like strengths or gaps. Even though the process is simpler for the participant, the ultimate impact for them may be lacking. It may leave the leader wondering whether the assessment was sufficiently thorough, whether the insights will provide significant value, or in the case of an assessment for selection, whether the process was fair. Striking the right balance is crucial. To do so, it is essential to be clear ahead of time on the definition of success for the role. Once the success profile has been agreed, then it's easier to design an assessment process that effectively focuses on the critical few factors that will differentiate success, allowing us to strike the balance in terms of assessment granularity.
It can be a bit dizzying to know what is the right tool and method to use while brewing your ideal cup of coffee. Are you time-strapped and want a quick process and a quick drink? Maybe a coffee pod machine is for you. If you have a little bit more time, you want to use freshly ground beans, perhaps an espresso. If you have even more time on hand, you may want to preserve the intricate flavors, maybe use a pour-over.
In the same way that different brewing methods may extract distinct flavors from the same beans, the assessment tools and methods need careful thought as well. Is it assessment for selection, development, or succession? Is the focus on their past experience, their present capabilities, or on their future potential? What are the perceived gaps in capability? By clearly defining the purpose of the assessment and your desired outcome, you can identify the right tools needed to assess. The leadership framework and assessment toolkit used, also known as the assessment mix, should be targeted and reliable when assessing on the relevant competencies.
Based on rigorous research examining FTSE 500 high-performing companies and attributes of leadership that drives performance with impact, we've identified what sets leaders apart in an ability to mobilize, execute, and transform with agility, also known as the Meta framework. Within this are embedded competencies and sub-competencies that we can assess candidates on through a range of methods. We use a tailored mix of proprietary tools and third-party industry standards to get the right blend for you.
When you get the coffee variables just right, you should end up with a balanced, nuanced, sweet cup of coffee that is true to the characters of its origin. The same as with assessment. If well executed, you should have a balanced and nuanced perspective on the candidate that's true to their character, and more importantly, a highly valuable outcome and experience for all involved.
Another great thing about coffee is that it's a social drink. We innately want to share this experience with others. Similarly, a good assessment experience should be one that you want to share. We encourage leaders to share their assessment reports, their development plans with their managers, and if appropriate, their teams. Those closest to you can provide the most support for your growth and development. So, if you want to hear more about what we do around leadership, come join us for a coffee. We'll make you a cup.
Stay tuned. Our next episode will be drawing parallels between coffee making and corporate culture.
Let's drink to that.
Cheers.